This is going to be a very quick video demonstration of how to get started with Blazin Player for WordPress. What you want to do is log into your WordPress site, go to Plugins, go Add Plugin, then go Upload Plugin, and then you want to locate your zip file that you should have downloaded for Blazin Player. You install it and then activate it when it's ready. Now, you should see a new Blazin Player panel to your left-hand WordPress menu. You want to click that and go to License. Enter in your license key that should have been emailed to you and click Submit, and it should activate license-wise. Then, after your license has been activated, let's go to All Presentations. Now, this is where your library of presentations can be. You can upload dozens, if not hundreds, of presentations to your site and manage them all within this one control panel. The thing is, we don't have any presentations currently. And the way you'll get a presentation is you'll go to Blazin Presenter and go to the File menu. And in File menu, you have Export WordPress. You will click Export WordPress and save that to your directory on your computer. Then you go to Blazin Player and go Import Presentation. Now you see here, I have something replace existing optional down below. If you had existing presentations already on your Blazin Player library or in it, you can replace it with a new one if you want. That way you can just update presentations without having to go to your pages and posts and edit them directly. But since this is our first presentation, or if you didn't want to replace your current presentation, if you have one, just leave it as Create New Presentation. So we're going to choose File. We're going to choose our exported presentation and import it inside Blazin Player. Now inside Blazin Player, you'll see that we have a new presentation. We can actually click View Player and see the presentation, and there it is. So that's good. I'm happy with that. I want to explain to you two things real quick. You manage your presentations all through the library here under All Presentations, and you have global settings that control the look of the buttons and the player in general, especially when using shortcodes. Now, if you're using Elementor to place your Blazin Player in your site, you would use Elementor settings, and I'll go over that briefly in a bit. But right now, the thing to think about is you can control the look of your player, the global permissions as well, that you can make it where everybody has to be logged in if you want. You can enable right now some public, which means by default, all presentations are viewable by the public, requires no login. You can also say require roles, read the roles on your site, and you check each role that members have to be in order to view your presentations. But for this, we're going to leave it as public and let everybody view presentations unless we set it otherwise in individual settings. So we're back to our presentation library. This is a presentation we just imported. You see that you have presentation settings. If you go here, you can override the global settings for the look of the shortcode button. You can change the color, the text, add a radius to it. Just change the look of the button. Shortcode player, you can make it 100%, which is responsive typically, wide, and auto adjust height-wise, or you can change it to pixels or percentage. You can also give it a radius of a rounded outline, so it's not just a square player, it has rounded corners. And you can also tell it to give it a shadow. You can mark this presentation as favorite in case it's something you plan on going back to often and updating if you start managing multiple presentations on one site. That will come in very handy. And the last thing I want to look at right here says Inherit Global for Player Access Override. This means right now we do have our global settings set for public, which means everybody can view this presentation unless I change it and says require login, which means anybody who is logged into the site can view this presentation or require a role. Same thing I said earlier. You can select what roles and view this individual presentation. This only applies to this one presentation if we wanted to change it. But by default, it uses your global settings unless otherwise changed here. All right, so let's go back to our library. Now you notice we have two shortcodes here. We have an embed shortcode and we have a launch shortcode. Both of them, basically, you go to a poster page and you copy and paste the shortcode and the player will appear. Now I'm going to just copy this shortcode here. I'm going to go to my post. I'm going to go to the demo post that we have. And we're going to edit Hello World. And this is using Gutenberg built-in editor. Nothing fancy here. I'm going to go here and copy my shortcode. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go View Post. And there's the presentation right there inside your WordPress post. That simple. Now, if we wanted to, we can go back to the player. We can go back to the settings. We're going to override the look of the player. And now we're going to say we want rounded corners. We want a shadow. And we want to make it kind of dark so it's noticeable for this. We're going to save our settings. Now, we don't have to go back to our post and edit our post. If we just go to that post and refresh it, there's our rounded corners and there's our shadow. That's how easy it is. Now, I could have changed the width of it. I could have, adjusted it several ways. Everything you do will reflect automatically on the post. So that's our Blazin presentation being played by Blazin player inside of WordPress. So let's look at one more thing. Let's go to Pages real quick in the dashboard. And this is for Elementor users. So if you're not an Elementor user, the next section won't really do you much good. But let's go to Elementor. So what I'm going to do is find a page. I've already set up a demo page. And go Edit with Elementor. All right. So right now we do not have a Blazin player on this page. So I'm going to go to Widgets and type in Blazin. And there's our Blazin player. I'm going to just drop it anywhere. Drop it up here. Now, you see it in your navigator. I'm going to actually jerk it up one. All right. We have not selected a presentation yet. Two ways to do this. You can search by the title of slug, or you can drop down and browse through all your uploaded and imported presentations. Since this is the only presentation, it makes it easy just to click the first one. Now, you notice it instantly loaded it up inside of Elementor, and it's showing a preview. Now, this is good just to make sure that you got the right presentation, but once it's imported, you don't need to constantly see that preview. So you can turn that off, and then you just have a widget area that just has Blazin player on it. Now, you notice we have some other options. Allow full screen. That's for the iframe. Some browsers have issues, but typically you don't need that. Just leave that enabled. Lazy load. If the player is not above the fold of the page, meaning it's not viewable, when you go to the page, it typically won't load if the browser respects this until you scroll down to the area of the player, and then it will load the player. So it's a bandwidth saving measure if you want to do that. But I would leave all these default. Transparent unused area. If you start using rounded corners, sometimes you have a gray area outside the rounded corners. Just leave that on, yes, and that gray area should be taken care of. One other thing to talk about is the sizes. Typically, you want responsive. You can go height and compatibility mode, but I would say use responsive whenever possible. And I'm going to show you why in a moment, how responsive works. So let's publish this page real quick. We're going to preview it. Now you notice it's a large area. And the reason it's so large is because it's responsive and we drug it in a full width container. So what we're going to do now is go back to our Elementor page. And actually I have another container down here that's divided. I'm not changing any settings in the Blazin player. I'm leaving it as responsive, and I'm going to drag it into the right container. All right, so now it's in the right container. And if you notice, it's right there. I can turn on the preview if I want. And there's our preview. I'm going to publish this again. And there's your Blazin presenter presentation being played by or Blazin player. And, they can always go full screen there if they want. But if you notice, it's confined by the container width because we're using responsiveness. We don't have to set any settings. It naturally will adjust its width and the height accordingly to its width to keep it a 16:9 ratio wherever you drop it. Now, there's other things we could do with this. If we go to style, we could say, give us a rounded radius. And let's give us a shadow. So let's kind of dark just to make sure we can see this. Let's publish. Let's go back to our site, and there it is. And now it's nice and rounded with a shadow. And you can change the offset of the shadow, make it all below or all to the side or just to the sides, not to the top. But that's how easy it is to use your Blazin presenter presentations inside of WordPress by using Blazin Player. It is that simple. So again, this is Blazin Player. It is very simple to use. It's basically import, drag and drop, or copy and paste.